Kurinji Senior Secondary School, CBSE, Namakkal.
Successful result producing school in state every year.
Administered by the Board of Directors with over 35 years of experience in the teaching field.
Special attention on art, craft, music, dance, silambam, yoga, skating and karate.
Focus on Hindi Sabha and Spell Bee Olympiad exams.
Smart class for effective and innovative learning and well-furnished library.
Solitary importance on sports and games in state and national level.
WhatsApp facilities to know activities of students and school inside the campus.
Free bus for LKG to 8th standard.
Free, hygienic and nutritious food.
NEET, JEE, IIT coaching experts from Rajasthan and Andhra Pradesh along with our effective teachers.
Admission registration for classes LKG to +2.
Kurinji Education Institution, Kavetipatti, Namakkal. Admission in progress. CBSE, KG to 12, contact 9025895176. Metric 6 to 12, contact 9344567484. For online admission, log on to www.kurinjischoolnkl.in.
In continuation to the last class, in this chapter wave optics, now we are going to discuss two example problems. So one is example 10.6, another one is example 10.7. Meanwhile, we are going to discuss the topic that is validity of ray optics. The topic that is the validity of ray optics. Okay ma? Right. So in our last class or in our previous class, we discussed what about a small experiment, that is seeing the single slit diffraction pattern with our naked eye, just with the help of two razor blades and a source of light, that is what a single fuse, that is what a tungsten filament bulb having single fuse, that is what single fuse, right? So that you can say that single filament. You can do that experiment. In that experiment, we observed the pattern of the fringes, the pattern of the bands, which is due to the single slit diffraction. To see that clearly, we need filters for red and blue. Afterwards, we went to discuss resolving power of optical instruments. So there itself, we focused to discuss what about the ability of an optical instrument to resolve two objects, maybe two stars, whatever it may be, whether on the surface of Earth or the objects are present in space, to identify the two objects separately. That is nothing but resolving power, right? So the resolving power of optical instruments we discussed. So there itself we derived some formulas also, the small formulas, right? That is what the angle between two things, that is what angle that is between the two rays which comes from after completion of that convex lens, it will be 0.61 lambda by A. Afterwards, we also derived an expression for minimum distance between the two objects to identify or to see distinctly, that is 1.22 lambda by 2n sin beta. N is the refractive index of the medium where the situation or where the things are present, and the term n sin beta is called as numerical aperture, right? So based on this formula, you can find the minimum distance between the two objects to identify distinctly. Otherwise, we cannot see. This minimum distance depends upon the wavelength and numerical aperture. So here itself, the refractive index is also present, that is what small n, right? Okay. So this is the information we discussed in our previous class, in our last class. Related to that, now we are going to discuss one small example problem, that is example 10.6. See here, assume that the light of wavelength 6000 angstrom unit, the light of wavelength 6000 angstrom unit is coming from a star. Full stop. What is the limit of resolution of a telescope whose objective has a diameter of 100 inch? I'll repeat once again. Assume that the light of wavelength 6000 angstrom unit is coming from a star. Full stop. What is the limit of resolution of a telescope whose objective has a diameter of 100 inch? You know very well what is a telescope, what about astronomical telescope, and what about terrestrial telescope, what is objective lens, what is eye lens, what about the aperture of objective lens, and what about the aperture of eye lens, and the ray diagram. That and all we clearly discussed in the chapter of ray optics in the topic of optical instruments, right? So here he has given the diameter of the objective lens, that is 100 inch. Okay, so by giving the diameter of the objective lens, that is 100 inch, he is asking the limit of resolution. At the same time, he also given the wavelength of light, that is 6000 angstrom unit. 6000 angstrom unit. Right. Coming to the solution, here 100 inch telescope implies that a 100 inch telescope implies that 2A is equal to 100 inch. Yesterday I drew one picture in our last class. I drew one picture regarding this parallel beam of light is incident on a convex lens, right? So there I mentioned, so what is that aperture, right? So what is the 2 value, what is the 2A value, right? Okay, so here a 100 inch telescope implies that 2A is equal to 100 inch, that is equal to 254 centimeters. So just we are converting inch into centimeters, that is the only thing. Thus, if lambda is equal to 6000 angstrom unit, that angstrom unit we are converting into centimeters, that is what 6 into 10 to the power of minus 5 centimeters will come. Then delta theta is equal to, just now I told you, actually this derivation, how this formula came, we discussed in our previous class, in our last class, but just now also I told you, right? That is delta theta is equal to 0.61 lambda by A. 0.61 lambda by A. So here we are substituting the given values in that formula, that is 0.61 is as it is because it is a numerical value, into lambda, that is 6 into 10 to the power of minus 5 divided by 127, because here we need A. In this problem, according to the given, they have given in inch, we converted into centimeters. Why we converted into centimeters? Because the wavelength we are taking in centimeters. If you want, you can convert here also meter, no problem. While substituting the physical quantities in a given formula, all the physical quantities must be in one system of unit. That is the minimum thing we have to maintain. So it's a compulsory, not minimum thing, it's a compulsory, right? Otherwise, how we will get the right answer, right? Okay. So next here we found that 2A is equal to 254 centimeters based on the given, right? So when 2A is equal to 254 centimeters, what about A? It is 127 now. 254 by 2 is 127, right? So by writing all the values, that is what lambda value and small a value here, you can find delta theta, which is 2.9 into 10 to the power of minus 7 radians. So if you do that mathematical calculation, then you will get it as delta theta is equal to 2.9 into 10 to the power of minus 7 radians, right? Next, we are going to discuss the continuation topic, that is the validity of ray optics, right? So this is the important thing when we go to discuss the optics, because there we have two different chapters, which are the branches, which are the branch of optics, that is one is ray optics, another one is wave optics. When we talk about the light, right, in ray optics the light is traveling along a straight line which is in the form of ray, but in wave optics light is traveling in the form of wave. But anyhow, based on the situation or depends upon the condition, when this is valid, when the ray optics is valid, when the wave optics is valid. So general thing, right, it's a very basic thing, very fundamental thing, right, and general thing also. See here. So now we are going to discuss once again the comparison between ray optics and wave optics. At the same time, when the ray optics is valid, when the ray optics is valid. See here, an aperture, that is a slit or hole, whatever it may be, an aperture of size A illuminated by a parallel beam, an aperture of size small a illuminated by a parallel beam sends diffracted light into an angle of approximately lambda by a, an angle approximately lambda by a, right. So this derivation, why here we are writing angle is approximately equal to lambda by a, we discussed in our previous classes. So that is when we were in a discussion about the single slit diffraction, maybe 3 classes before this. So when we were in a discussion about the single slit diffraction experiment, we derived this condition, that is theta is approximately equal to lambda by a. See here. So he is saying that only an aperture of size a illuminated by a parallel beam sends diffracted light into an angle of approximately lambda by a, right. This is an angular size of the bright central maximum. This is an angular size of the bright central maximum. So in our previous class I drew one picture, right. There itself we can get it as, so what is the central bright maximum and what is the size? So this is the angular size of the central bright central maximum, okay, right. But in traveling a distance z, because the light has to travel now, in traveling a distance small, in traveling a distance z, the diffracted beam therefore acquires a width z lambda by a. Z is the distance here, lambda is the wavelength of the light, a is the aperture, right. So in traveling a distance z, the diffracted beam therefore acquires a width z lambda by a due to diffraction, okay, right. Now it is interesting to ask at what value of z the spreading due to diffraction becomes comparable to the size of the aperture. It is very interesting to ask at what value of z the spreading due to diffraction becomes comparable to the size A of the aperture, right. So when I am explaining this situation, you have to keep in mind the yesterday picture what I drew, right. That is important for us, because at what distance the light is going to travel before going to get the diffraction, right. So from the slit onwards it will diffract, but when it is going to give the central maximum, the bright central maximum, that is the distance is also important, aperture is important, distance is also important, wavelength of light is also important here. These are all the things we need to consider, okay, right. So after completion of that, if you observe carefully, you can equate this, so approximately to z lambda by a with a, because here it is lambda by a, no, if we consider the distance it is z lambda by a. So when you are going to equate this with the a, then mathematically z is approximately equal to a square by lambda, when you are equating this z lambda by a with a, z lambda by a is equal to a. Then z lambda is equal to a square. Then z is approximately equal to a square by lambda. A square by lambda. So this gives the distance. This gives the distance beyond which divergence of the beam of width a becomes significant. This gives the distance beyond which divergence of the beam of width a becomes significant. So therefore, you can say that z is approximately equal to a square by lambda. It is equation number 1. It is equation number 1. We define a quantity Fresnel distance ZF. Fresnel distance, right? So that you can say ZF is approximately equal to a square by lambda. A square by lambda, right? So here equation 1, this is the equation 1. Equation 1 shows that for distances much smaller than ZF, equation 1 shows that for the distances much smaller than ZF, the spreading due to diffraction, is smaller compared to the size of the beam, okay, right. It is okay, ma. From here onwards we are going to talk about the consequences, but you just understand how we are writing ZF is approximately equal to a square by lambda, right. So if you come back to this, here you can say the angle, right. So the angle that is what approximately equal to lambda by a. When an aperture of size small a illuminated by a parallel beam sends diffracted light into an angle of approximately equal to lambda by a. This is what angular size of the bright central maximum. While travelling to a distance z, the diffracted beam therefore acquires a width z lambda by a due to diffraction. So there itself, at what value of z the spreading due to diffraction becomes comparable to the size of the aperture. So based on this point, we can equate approximately this z lambda by a with a, right. So this gives beyond which divergence of the beam of width a becomes significant, right. So when z lambda by a is equal to small a, then z is approximately equal to a square by lambda. It is equation 1. So here we define a quantity that is Fresnel distance, so that we can write ZF is approximately equal to a square by lambda. So this equation 1 shows that for distances much smaller than Fresnel distance, the spreading due to diffraction is smaller compared to the size of the beam, It becomes comparable when the distance is approximately Fresnel distance, right. For a distance much greater than the Fresnel distance, the spreading due to diffraction dominates over that due to ray optics. Three things. First thing is, distance is much smaller than the Fresnel distance. Second thing is equal, so compared to the size of the beam. Third one is greater than. When the distance is greater than the Fresnel distance, what happens? So these three things is the conclusion. So in case of first thing, when the distance is much smaller than the Fresnel distance, the spreading due to diffraction is smaller compared to the size of the beam. When it is comparable or approximately equal, it becomes comparable when the distance is approximately Fresnel distance. So what is comparable? The spreading due to diffraction is comparable to the size of the beam when the distance is equal to Fresnel distance. Next, when the distance is greater than Fresnel distance, the spreading due to diffraction dominates over that due to ray optics. Okay, so these 3 points are the conclusion regarding this topic. the validity of ray optics. Equation 1 also shows that ray optics is valid in the limit of wavelength tending to 0. Equation 1 also shows that the ray optics is valid in the limit of wavelength tending to 0. In the limit of wavelength tending to 0, right? That is. So here, see here, if you observe carefully, based on that information, we are going to discuss one example problem, right? That is what here, for what distance is ray optics a good approximation? For what distance ray optics is a good approximation when the aperture is 3 millimeters wide and the wavelength is 500 nanometer, right? So in this example problem, for what distance is ray optics a good approximation when the aperture is 3 millimeters wide and the wavelength of light is 500 nanometer, right? So we have to find Fresnel distance. So what is the Fresnel distance here? Keep in mind, so you have to imagine, we have to visualize. Don't see this problem like a problem. You have to visualize, because to get the validity of ray optics, to understand the validity of ray optics over wave optics, right? So this problem is very important. For seeing the problem is very small, right? There is one formula, and if you substitute the given values, you will get the answer. So it is not like a problem. This problem also helps. This problem helps a lot to imagine the validity of ray optics over wave optics. See here, for what distance means Fresnel distance we have to calculate. Ray optics is a good approximation when the aperture is 3 millimeters wide and the wavelength is 500 nanometers, right? So ZF, Fresnel distance, is equal to A square by lambda, that is equal to A is 3 into 10 power minus 3. So this millimeter we are converting into, right? So we are converting into meters. Millimeters we are converting into meters, and there is square, remember that. It is A square, it is not A, it is A square, So 3 into 10 power minus 3 whole square. 3 into 10 power minus 3 whole square. So here meter square will come, but the down one, so this is what 5 into 10 to the power of minus 7 meter. So there is meter square, here is meter, both will get cancelled, and meter is the remaining. So mathematical calculation will give us 18 meters, 18 meters, right? So 18 meters will come. Afterwards, you just see this conclusion, what he is talking. This example shows that even with a small aperture, diffraction spreading can be neglected for rays many meters in length. Thus, ray optics is valid in many common situations. Ray optics is valid in many common situations. Okay, that is. So if you observe this problem carefully, you can say that the ray optics is valid in many common situations. So why it is valid in many common situations? Because of this. So because of this, based on this example, you can say that based on this example means by seeing this wavelength of light and the width of the aperture. So the Fresnel distance came 18 meters. So 18 meters means, once you imagine, 18 meters means you imagine how much distance is it. So based on that, you can say these two lines of information. That is what even with a small aperture, diffraction spreading can be neglected for rays many meters in length, right? So thus ray optics is valid in many common situations, right? So in this class we focused to learn one example problem based on that formula delta theta is equal to 0.61 lambda by A, right? Afterwards we came to discuss the validity of ray optics. There itself we discussed what is Fresnel distance. Then we discussed what about the consequences, means if the distance is smaller than Fresnel distance, what happened? If the distance is comparable to the Fresnel distance, what will happen? And if the distance is greater than the Fresnel distance, what will happen, right? So if the distance is smaller than the Fresnel distance, the spreading due to diffraction is smaller when compared to the size of the beam. If the distance is comparable to the Fresnel distance, right? If the distance is, it becomes comparable. It becomes comparable when the distance is approximately equal to Fresnel distance. So comparable means considerable, right? So little when compared to the previous and when compared to the next. If the distances are much greater than the Fresnel distance, the spreading due to diffraction dominates over that due to ray optics. Okay, that is. So this is all about validity of ray optics. Then related to this topic, we discussed one example problem, that is example 10.7. Here we calculated Fresnel distance. According to the values given in this problem, those are width of the aperture and wavelength of light. We calculated Fresnel distance. Based on that, you can judge one statement, that is ray optics is valid in many common situations. Okay, right. Thank you. We will continue next class with continued topic and most important property of light. Another most important property of light, because interference is also important, diffraction also important, and polarization also important, right? So in the next class we are going to discuss another important property of light, polarization. Thank you.